Welcome, OPL fans, to the Oceanic Pro League. I'm Matthew Fishwood, and unfortunately, Jake Spontapir is feeling a little bit under the weather today, so we cannot be your host for tonight. But I still have Bradley T-Gun Seymour as well as Baranto Raz Muhammad joining me for the analyst desk tonight. Gentlemen, how are you two doing today?
Doing really well. Coming off a couple of big victories, so I can't complain.
That's been fantastic. Raz, you know, you're looking quite snappy in that new suit, no longer borrowing my silver jacket, which you've been wearing for the past few broadcast nights. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Hashtag pray for spawn. Yeah, there we go. There we go. I got it. I was about to say pray for fish. That one too.
Yeah, I think I need a little
Pray
bit
for all of us, apparently.
tonight. But yeah, so first up, T-Gun, I wanted to talk a little bit about how Abyss have been doing recently because, you know, last time you were there, so you guys weren't doing that well. Now you guys have taken out 2 of the 3 top dogs in the OPL. What's been happening back at the Abyss Esports Club? What's going on?
We just tightened up our drafts, really. If you go back and look at our other drafts, they were terrible. They were absolutely awful. And we put in some really big efforts and said, we need to fix this. And I think we fixed it. I think Raz would agree we fixed it. And it's starting to show in results.
Yeah, not even like specifically. I actually think, yeah, sure, the drafts actually did well, but I think you guys started to play a lot more tighter to League of Legends.
Thank you. That's what we aim for.
Well, it certainly looks like it. I mean, you guys took down the Chiefs, you took down Direwolves as well. Next up, you have a game against Legacy. Are you guys ready for that match? It's going to be a huge match for you guys.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the biggest thing for that game is I'm going to go look really, really good with the belt over my shoulder, right? That's the goal. That's the goal. No, we're just taking it one game at a time, really. We need to win the rest of the games to have a chance to make top 4, and that's all we care about. The title belt, yeah, it's cool, but doesn't really change our focus right now.
Well, hopefully when we see you next, we'll be able to see that belt over your shoulders or around your waist. But, you know, for now, let's take a look at Week 8's schedule coming into this week of the OPL. First up, we've already seen Direwolves take on Abyss, where you guys picked up a 2-0 victory, and Legacy were able to defend their OPL Legend match against the Hellions 2-0. But tonight, we're going to have Sin taking on Avant, as well as Chiefs taking on Tainted Mind. And also gives us some time to take a look at the standings as well. Currently, as Legacy still sitting at the top of the table, 7-1. Direwolves right behind them, 6-2. Chiefs and Avant are currently tied for 3rd and 4th with 4 wins and 3 losses. Abyss sitting at 4-4 as Tainted Minds, 3-4 looking for that top 4 spot. Sin trying to avoid relegations as Hellions are still looking for a single win here in the OPL, sitting at 0-8. And you know, that's going to be the first match of the night as well. It's going to be Sin taking on Avant-Garde, so we get some time to take a look at Sin's lineup. Up in the top lane, it's going to be Squiggle. Taking the jungle will be Juice. Rymeister will be backing him up in the mid lane, as Raps and Rogues will be the bottom lane, AD carry and support. And their opponents are going to be Avant-Garde. So up in the top lane for Avant, it's going to be Paradise as Shelby takes it to the jungle. Triple is going to be trying to be fantastic in that mid lane, as Chenny Boy and Jakey are going to be their AD carry and support. And you know, guys, before we break this down a little bit more, I really want to kind of take a look at the run through the rest of the OPL for these two teams. First up, it's really going to be Sin, as they're trying to avoid relegations it sees here. You know, it's a difficult run for them coming into the next few weeks of the OPL.
Yeah. Sin, they've been getting better. Look at how they played versus Legacy. Their first game, absolutely great. So they're finding their strengths. They're finding out how to play. They just need to really hone in on that and look really good tonight to make sure they stay out of relegation. I'm going to be honest, top 4, not a dream for them. That's gone. They just need to focus on rebuilding their roster, getting better and better, and looking forward towards next split, staying out of relegations.
Yeah, exactly. And even if they keep their roster, I think that they better late than never, right? They're trying to change their style. They're actually trying to like play towards their team fight, or just like try to find an identity that works for them in their current roster. So that's good to see. Hopefully they get themselves out of relegation zone. So we'll see where that goes.
And Avant on the flip side, they're going to have a big match as well. But, you know, let's take a look at Sin's schedule really quickly. Hopefully be able to pull that one up on your screen. There it is. First up, it's going to be Chiefs, and they followed by a game against Tainted Mind. So these two teams are going to be huge factors for them trying to escape the relegation zone. On the flip side, we want to talk about Avant as well. They've got 2 similar matches coming up in the next 2 weeks, but they've got a completely different goal coming into the last few weeks of the OPL, as they will take on Tainted Minds and Chiefs as well. They're looking for the top 4 spot to try and get into playoffs, it seems, and they've been having an impressive run so far this split.
Yeah, I hate saying it. They're doing really well. I hope they lose. I'm going to be honest. I really hope they lose. It'd be good for us, right? But I don't see it happening. They're playing really well. I think they're better than Sin. But it is a tough tough work for them. Like, you got two teams really hungry to get wins, really hungry to prove themselves and stay out of relegation. So they can't underestimate them, which it seems like a lot of teams have been doing recently to, let's say, lower tier teams.
Yeah, that's been happening a lot. And lower tier teams are coming up. I think Avant specifically have been starting to get it together, right? They haven't had their full roster for quite some time. They've been like in and out. And so now that they actually have their roster, they, like I've said before, they've been coming together. Maybe they'll form some kind of like teamwork, some synergy, because they're great players. Like individually speaking, they're solid. Now they just need to play as a unit.
Yeah, I would say the only time I've seen them sort of falter is when they went a bit silly, in my opinion. They picked Riven. You have a Riven player, great, not competitive. Look at the game that he played. I think they understand now that, yeah, they had fun, they still won the game, but that was disrespectful and it almost cost them.
Yeah, and honestly, to be fair, there are times where I'm open to picks, right? I think that Riven can work. They played it well in terms of like looking to dive, but then after they get a lead, right, you can't just play as far forward as they were. You have to like still close it out, play smart. I think they're a team that just they play a little bit too solo queue minded, I think.
Well, still before these two teams go up against Tainted Minds and Chiefs in the next few weeks, they still have to play against each other. So let's kind of break down this game a little bit more before we head into Champion Select. The first thing that I really wanted to hit on is the fact what we were talking on before the broadcast here is, you know, there's a huge mismatch up in the top lane between Paradise up there and Squiggle, and it really feels like it's heavily in favor of Avant at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. Squiggle, in my opinion, probably one of the worst top laners in the OPL. Hopefully they don't take that too harshly. They probably will. I wouldn't blame them. But they hide him quite well. They put him on utility champions. They put him on Nautilus. They put him on Shen. These champions that are great even with low farm, even with low skill ceilings, let's be honest here. And they do great work with them. They took a game off Legacy with it. And that's amazing, right? Maybe Legacy were underestimating him like I was saying before, but it's amazing. And if they can hide his weakness like that, they'll look really good. But doing that against a team that has such a carry in top lane as Avant does with Paradise, that's going to be hard.
Exactly. And I think it comes towards what teams playing towards what advantage, right? Because a lot of the times I actually think that Sin plays towards their team comp too much and kind of like sacrifice their laning phase or sacrifice like specific picks. And then I think Avant sometimes actually play towards their specific matchups a little bit too much. So that's a good kind of clash in personalities, or like pretty much a contrast in those teams. So that's, I think, we will see how that works out in the draft. I think the draft's most important thing.
And you know, Sin, they're really trying to hide Squiggle up in the top lane here on the side of Avant. Feels like Chenny Boy's been underperforming a little bit and being hidden as well in that bottom lane.
Yeah, Chenny Boy, probably the worst AD in the OPL. And I say that to a team that's in top 4, right? But Avant do the smart thing. They hide him on picks that are really great for their team. They put him on Ashe, they put him on Sivir, they put him on these utility picks. So I like what they're doing, but I don't like the player that's doing it.
Well, you get another chance here, T-Gun, to throw to have even more shots fired here. As I want to get your predictions for the first match of the night. Sin taking on Avant. Who's going to take it, and how many games is it going to go to?
If Avant perform well and don't underestimate them, I put it at 2-0 Avant, as long as they don't just get steamrolled early game by Sin, who seem to have really, really strong early game lately.
Yeah. Raz, what's your prediction?
I think Avant takes game 1. I think are we doing both games? I'd say 2-0 probably. Yeah.
Well, for once, I'm not on their side of the desk, and I get to take Jake's spot, so I'm going to be non-biased, and not going to say anything here and have nothing here. But for now, let's take before we throw it over to the casters here. I want to remind you guys that OPL finals will be coming up in Brisbane very shortly. On your screen, you'll see a website to head to if you want to pick up tickets for the OPL finals in Brisbane. If you can't make it, there's also a Hoyts viewing party near you. If you want to find out more about how you can get there, head over to ost.lwolesports.com/VP and find out where your nearest viewing party is. But that's all from us here at the desk. I'm going to throw it over to Rusty and Atlas really quickly for the first match.
Thank you very much, Fish, and I think you're doing a great job. Don't you worry about it. I'm, of course, Atlas, joined by Rusty. And look, T-Gun, after throwing a whole bunch of bullets around the room, we've managed to dodge some of them, and hopefully we'll be able to get into this game unscathed.
Yeah, so much shade, it's like an artificial nighttime, I think, has been thrown around at the moment. But yeah, game 1 between both of these teams, I think they did summarize the strengths and weaknesses of a lot of both very well. I think the top lane is a mismatch where Paradise is exceptionally good, whereas the converse to that is Chenny and Jake up against Raps and Rogue, who are young mechanical players against facilitative bottom lane of AV.
Yeah, we've actually seen Rogue sort of take games into his own hands on picks like the Thresh and the Alistair, things like that, where he can really get amongst it. We'll see whether this bottom lane is going to go off for Sin. We'll also see exactly what happens with the bans. We are into that straight away. Azir taken away already from Triple, and Shen is going to be taken away from Squiggle as Karma is going to follow.
Yeah, Avant-Garde banning away the Shen. We already spoke towards Squiggle's tendency to play these facilitative top laners and be hidden away. Well, Shen's the perfect champion to hide because Shen can ult everywhere around the map when it's necessary and can spend the rest of that time avoiding death. Of course, a very strong champion for Sin as a team with their identity, loves the global compositions, have found the most success actually executing on Ashe, Shen, Rek'Sai, and the assassin in that middle lane.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And actually, I did want to talk to you about this as Ryze is going to get banned away from AV, is the fact that Sin often play around Rymeister a whole lot. And do you think that Triple's going to be enough to nullify this? Because we've been sort of talking about Triple as being a super strong player as well.
So we've said this, and why I like Sin against AV is basically Sin against Legacy. I feel like their strengths are in the exact same places. You've got Chuchus who can go off. You've also got Tally, who's the primary carry. Yet Sin still took a game off them. So it speaks to what Sin can do as a roster of 5 and as a team to execute on strategies. And yes, they play around Rymeister, but if they do it well enough, it doesn't matter who he's against in laning phase because that's not the point of it.
Yeah, it's actually really cool to see whether it is going to be the same thing. Of course, Sin did manage to take the first game against Legacy. It was pretty convincing as well, as AV are looking for the Vladimir button. We'll see whether they find it.
It was a 28-minute victory, I believe, which is a lot faster than the average game time in any competitive league, full stop.
And of course, the desk was talking about the fact that Sin's early game has looked a whole lot better. There it is. They found the Vladimir button. Don't worry about it. As Sin, see whether they go for something like the Rek'Sai, something like that. Of course, Karma already banned away, has been considered a first pick somewhat as well. We'll see whether they mix it up. Jhin, of course, available at the same time.
I would look towards the Rek'Sai as the big option. It makes sense that they would lock it away.
Yeah.
I mean, there are responses available on the flip side. Chelby's always got his Elise handy if he looks to go towards that. Jake's a big Braum player as well, so they can get a first rotation on AV that doesn't reveal anything, but is still extremely strong. But Sin locking in that Rek'Sai already spoke towards their tendencies of global compositions in a way that they can either work around Rymeister to get to the other side of the map or do the opposite to that where they can get to Rymeister if it comes to it. They do need to be careful though because everyone is aware of that strategy. Sin have shown they have more than one at least though.
Yeah, it's very true. There's Chenny Boy's Jhin locked away. It actually performed incredibly well in recent weeks.
Good.
Okay, that's a Cassiopeia. Well, Rymeister is ridiculous on the champion, but what do you feel about a first-round Cassiopeia?
I think
lock-in?
that's actually why they did it. Rymeister is a god on Cassiopeia.
Yes.
And I feel like, Triple might be able to play it. We don't know to
Maybe
what extent.
Paradise can play it.
Yeah, look, we can go down that rabbit hole if you'd like.
Yeah.
I do think that majority of the reason they've gone for it is away from Rymeister, who can pop off on that champion. But a first pick, knowing that it's a Rek'Sai who can already gank you, very good mid-ganking champion with his tunnels, means you're at a risk.
Certainly are, as Kassadin is going to be locked away here from Rymeister, a man that we did mention knows Cassiopeia very well. We'll see whether this matchup is something that he's practiced on or against, as that's the Ashe locked away as well. So double utility focused AD carries, lots of long range engage potential with a Curtain Call and the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. It's now AB to respond. Looks like both of these teams actually looking at a relatively similar strategy moving into this.
Yeah, the one conflicting difference, and they actually have the biggest similarities even in playstyle, where they want to have the jungle mid duo work together in tandem and snowball the game through that. I think the biggest conflicting difference will be Chelby, what he looks towards. Yeah, he's got a pretty good Gragas, and if they do opt into that, that is exactly what Sin have put together.
Yeah.
But if they go for something like the Elise, or the Lee Sin, God forbid he actually looks back towards that Chelby, they've got big carry threats everywhere.
It's a really good point. I actually would like the Elise just in tandem with that Deadly Flourish, the fact that they have so much single target pick potential if they pull that one out. Right, we'll see exactly what they do decide to do. 6 seconds to go. Braum hovered here from Triple as Gragas is going to be the option here for Chelby. Of course, Prophet Rusty, pretty good at predicting these things, as they are going to be locked away.
I'm happy with that title, by the way, if this continues.
I call you that every single time we're on.
There's the comp.
Okay, so that's been locked in immediately. Squiggle back to the Nautilus. Of course, T-Gun picked it out. The fact that Shen, Nautilus, 2 of the champions that he does like to pick up, lots of utility. And there's Rogue's Thresh. We mentioned it earlier on. Can definitely make the plays on this champion. As Paradise having a look at his Riven one more time.
Now he knows he's against the Nautilus, and as far as matchups are concerned, I wouldn't go Riven here, albeit a decent lane for him to scale in. The question was not about Paradise and his scaling strength on Riven, it was more so the team fighting that came afterwards, or his consistent overextension. Well, we've actually seen Riven do quite poorly into a Kassadin, believe it or not. It was the exact matchup that he ended up losing to Bomb.
Of course, Kassadin doesn't mind the old melee matchups. That WMAX works out pretty well.
I think, so one of the reasons that I would not mind the Riven is because of that 1v1 matchup, though. If Paradise is confident that he can take on Rhymeister, he would do that. Otherwise, something more like a Fiora or an actual standard top laner, like Trundle even.
Aurelia and Jax are both up as
And
well.
Aurelia, yeah.
1 second to go, though. There's the Gangplank. Oh, nope, nah. Take it all back, but I do like the AoE potential from this one. We'll see whether Paradise is going to have that lane control. A little mini nah.
Yeah, they've given themselves a bit of extra team fighting here on the side of AV with the inclusion of that Gnar. Of course, big teleport flanks are always a possibility on the assumption he changes his summoner spells. The other side to that as well, they've got the Gragas and the Braum who can either be complementary engage or they can hard engage themselves. Cassiopeia to round it out, and the Jhin for lockdown. This is a team composition from AV that if they hit one spell, they're probably going to hit about 6 in a row.
Yeah.
And that's usually a killing combo. Whereas Sin, we've seen what this composition can execute on. They've got a lot of pressure with the Ash Arrow and the double hook comp. They are all about pick, sieging, and just catching people out constantly.
Yeah, and what AV has in displacement, Sin make up for in just heck of a lot of CC. Like, it's ridiculous. Thresh, made of CC. Nautilus, made of CC. Juve's even got that knock-up. Enchanted Crystal Arrow there, you've got the slow coming out from the Force Pulse. I mean, my God, both of these teams probably wanting to fight and want to fight pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, I mean, last time we saw Sin run this team composition against Legacy, they basically grouped mid as 5 at about 9 minutes into this game. The one big difference, though, is that they've added a Kassadin to the mix, and I don't think you want a 5-man group in a Kassadin's lane when he's not scaled.
Yeah, could be a problem here, but we want to hear from you, ladies and gentlemen. Hop onto Twitter. Use the hashtag SinWin if you think Sin will be able to take this one down, or the hashtag AVWin if you agree with our desk and think that AV can continue their run of destruction here in the OPL so far. A team that's looking solid there in the 3rd/4th place, tied with the Chiefs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both of these teams, you never really know how they're going to show up to play. Sin are definitely a top 4 capable team if they are all guns blazing when they come onto Summoner's Rift. They can take games from the best. AV are being considered one of the best at the moment, yet their consistency with roster has definitely been lacking. This is a big opportunity for AV to actually cement what their top 5 roster looks like and take it to the OPL teams.
Well, that's exactly right, but we are onto the Rift, ladies and gentlemen. First Dragon is going to be that Ocean Drake. As you can see, AV grouped up. No, actually not. Spread out. As Sin grouping up around this red buff. Now some backs coming in. We'll see whether they are going to go for some sort of lane swap here. As Raps, you can see, is already moving towards the top side. Will be blind, however.
And I mean, let's be frank, it's a Thresh Nautilus composition. If anyone walked into a bush that they were in, they're dead.
Yeah.
And that's something that isn't going to change, especially once Sin hit level 6 and actually increases the amount of lockdown that those two have. It feels like they're designed to have Squiggle with the team, which means that Rhymeister is going to be one of the people early rotating to a side lane for split pushing threat. Yeah, the 1-3-1 is there, but what Squiggle would be doing in that 1-3-1 strategy is actually defending Paradise, which is unlocking Rhymeister then to get damage done. Triple does not have a teleport in response.
Yeah, of course, Triple having to take that cleanse. There's a heck of a lot of CC that he needs to remove. Mostly that arrow there from Raps, which can come from any part of the map.
Yes, and a special commendation to Triple for having the cleanse into an Ashe composition.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
Too many people have Ghost instead, but he needs it. That's all that crowd control.
Well, you can see now Rogue moving over to find AV here as Paradise says, no, get out of my jungle. The Crimson Brambleback is going to get a bit upset at the Thresh, however, not going to fight him.
Actually, good decision from Rogue to not go in. One of the deceptive things that a lot of teams and players actually fall for in that support role is walking into a Gragas. If Gragas gets level 2, even at level 1, he could have Body Slam. If he has Body Slam, you're probably going to die to him if you get too close. Gnar also has a lot of damage to complement that. And so he shows the due diligence and respects that.
Yeah, you can see now Paradise moving down to that bottom side as they're getting that fast push on. Raps and Rogue just stacking this wave, and Juves is going to take down a Rift Scuttler as Squiggle heads up to help out with this tunnel turret as well. And Juves, you're exactly right, heads straight to the red buff.
He knows the Raptors are taken. It looks like he's just setting up that vision before he actually kicks it off. But yep, standard lane swap to be seen. And it's 2 buff start once again. But Shelby gets a little bit of extra in his clear, being able to take those Raptors.
Yeah, you can see now heading down to the red buff of his own, so he's going to be absolutely fine as AV find themselves about 100 gold in the lead, but nothing to really report on. As Paradise decided to start with the longsword, yeah, that's pretty cute. Helps with the lane swap.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of people start with long swords on their predisposed champions. It means you have Sustain as Juves making his first active attempt towards looking at the middle lane.
Yep.
Something that you'll find is very unsurprising whenever you watch Sin play, but it's definitely effective.
Yeah, not something that he wanted to go for just then. Decides to take down some Krogs. As Sin are getting some work done on the top outer turret. AV doing the same thing on the bottom side. Pretty standard stuff for this lane swap, as AV looking to make short work of this, just in time for that minion wave to die.
Yep. They will get it. Yep.
One of the share the gold.
The importances actually of tanking the turret wave in a Jhin composition is that he doesn't do as much damage consistently than other ADs. So you tank the minion wave, let your minions do as much damage as they possibly can. Be as efficient in your lane swap as possible. It's risky because you get very low.
Yep.
And teams, if they're feeling really clever, can pick on you for it. You're a stone's throw from death.
AV do have a lot of defensive vision though here on the bottom side of the map, waiting for Sin to get back into this bottom lane as the swap comes through. You can see AV moving that bottom lane towards the top side now as well, and we'll see whether Sin decide to take down that Ocean Drake, which can be pretty useful in the early game, but may lose them some tempo.
Yeah, and Triple zoning himself away here. Doesn't feel like he wants to go anywhere near Sin on the assumption that he doesn't know where they are. One turret has been taken. Gnar is currently free farming, and they haven't matched it to push him out of the lane. So Paradise will not exactly get a big advantage because it's going to get froze against him, but he'll find himself with enough free farm to be happy to rotate around the map. And it could be in AV's ball court now.
I actually really like that Triple was playing back because they had so much deep vision here towards the bottom side, expecting that bottom lane to maybe come down there.
Exactly, yeah. Because they weren't bottom,
yeah,
he had to be careful just in case. It's Sin, after all. They love that middle lane as a pressure point. They won their last series against Legacy, or that game rather, through this team composition being mid really early.
See Paradise just smacking this wave into Squiggle over and over again. He's looking to potentially try and freeze this one out. Not going to be able to though. As Mega Gnar makes his way back home. We'll see where he is going to go next.
Squiggle actually misses a whole lot of CS there, unfortunately. But does not get the freeze either, as the cannon's now about to break his day. I don't know if that's too much of a concern, however, for Sin. Dependent on if they want this 2v2 or not. It looked like they were searching for it. Now set up. Get
Really
Raps
nice
level
hook
6.
shot.
Make something happen as you're at. Nice hook shot.
Spots Shelby out as he now moves into the jungle. Just trying to get some vision down here as well. Removes some tunnels. Now makes his way towards the mid lane. Rymeister is level 6 though, so has got past that difficult point on the Kassadin. We'll see whether he is going to have more of an aggressive time here in the mid.
You would think so, but that 5 to 6 Rymeister should be feeling confident, but Triple can always turn it around on a dime. It's always a delicate balance watching any Kassadin lane. It's really impressive that he's gotten himself to the Catalyst. He chose this matchup in particular.
Yep.
So Rymeister, obviously confident in his choice, but the damage from Triple's always there.
Yeah, nice too.
All it takes is a simple gank from Chelby, especially at that level 6 point. Kassadin can die.
Rymeister now going to help Juves out with this Ocean Drake as it's just the jungler and mid laner, so control of the map still there. Yeah, Chelby actually going to throw a barrel in here. They don't actually know what's going on as Juves heads over the top. There's the Riftwalk as Chelby body slams his way out. And Sin do move away from the dragon. Squiggle has to Titan's Wrath himself because this is a really angry beast.
Yeah.
Beaten down on him.
You calm down, Ocean Drake.
Yeah, he's really got to chill. Let's look at his vision focus here towards the top side of the map.
You know what's funny is they actually abandoned ship on a Drake that was not being contested by Chelby. He was actually looking for Juves in his jungle.
Yeah.
They could have played Chelby for the full and taken the Drake without him knowing. Not to be. They respect that there was a bleep on the map showing him. Vision spotting him.
You can see early game, things very slow here on the Rift. This might actually work in AV's favor because you were talking before about how Sin's early game was really what got them through against Legacy. Well, this early game isn't really much to write home about at all.
So the major difference, and one point that I guess we have to note on that remark, is more that so Sin executed on their strategy in the early game.
Okay.
They played a team composition similar to this. Of course, they didn't have the Kassadin, if memory serves. They had something else. they utilize their team composition at that point.
Wow, Squiggle not actually picking up the turret aggro there as Paradise just gnaws him underneath the area. However, minions were there.
Triple's actually rotating as well, so they show respect and they back away Sin. There's no turret to defend them, though.
Oh, there's the hook onto Chelby, who does have the explosive cast. Squiggle on the Miasma now as well, as there's a petrifying gaze. Squiggle has to be careful. Massive triple knock up there, but it's not going to be enough. And Paradise picks up the first blood. AV probably pretty happy where that money's going.
Yeah, Squiggle not happy because you can't flash on top of the Cassiopeia's W and ends up dying for it. AV get that first pick, quick rotation, and as a team now look towards the objective afterwards. That tempo has been upped by this side because they found an eye in. Didn't even matter that Sin had wards set up. They were just really deep without a tower.
Yeah, didn't use any of their summoner spells for that one either, so still going to have a heck of a lot of power. These ultimates will be back up relatively soon as well. So things looking good here for Avant as they moved all of their vision towards that bottom side. This is a team that's really been keeping their eyes open.
Yeah, they absolutely have. They get themselves a Drake. Paradise now switches to the other side of the map. Rymeister has a 2-level advantage, and so you would actually say that he can fight, but not really enough mana pool to sustain himself through.
But
this is early.
Base very much either. So that's still just the Catalyst. Probably looking for that first buy Rod of Ages as he's taking away some jungle camps. And Sin have some spare time here with the mid lane.
Yep. So what we did see was the Kassadin go top lane.
Yep.
And by him going top, it actually opens up once again Sin's team composition and their strategy they wish to execute upon. Now starting to actually see fruition here.
But Raps, of course, does have that level 6. Cheney Boy as well, as both of those high utility ultimates are there. And we'll see whether these AD carries are now going to be in charge of trying to get any engage happening. Now Juice looking for Jakey here as there's the Deadly Flourish, but doesn't find him. Teleport actually coming in from Paradise, who wants to find his way down, cancels it, as he doesn't think he'll be able to make an impact. Had the Mega Gnar, was ready to throw that ultimate around.
Yeah, had the flash with it, so if AV wanted to fight, they would have.
Whoa! Cheney pretty frightened about that. Yes, there's the hook as Rogue is going to get stunned up. Triple! It's all a bait here for the Cassiopeia as he's getting a lot of damage down. Curtain Call from underneath the turret as Squiggle's in trouble. Has to flash his way out as Rymeister's now in trouble as well. Tunnel comes down as Triple flashes forward, looks for the Miasma, but there's the Deadly Flourish and Rymeister's going to get caught up. That Twin Fang was massive as Triple picks up that kill as well. And AV off to a 3-0 start.
And this first pick of the Cassiopeia away from Sin potentially, but for AV is coming up massive. It diffuses so much. The hook connects. Squiggle can't use anything to follow it up.
Yeah.
They can't get in, and they only get half of the team composition off. No pick to be seen, and then the ultimate comes in, turns them all to stone, and locks them down. This is huge for AV.
And it looked so good for Sin as well. I mean, Rogue with the massive hook onto a priority target. Wasn't to be, though, as Triple with the sick turnaround. Now he's more than happy in this lane, ahead by about 9 CS, as well as picking up that Null Magic Mantle just to try and help himself out here in this lane. Of course, Negatron Cloak now.
Yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, he's not actually laning against a Kassadin anymore.
Yeah.
They've already exited that lane. They've put him into a side lane as expected. So he's laning against an Ashe and a Thresh, but because there's also a Nautilus nearby, there is an okay amount of magic damage here. The Negatron will be alright, but he's already committed that far to an item that he needs to finish it. The Abyssal Scepter also lowers the magic resistance of people, and with a Gragas on your team, that mid-game spike that you will both get by having an Abyssal Scepter is quite substantial.
You can see now just trying to clear out this wave as best as possible. You can see Hook is going to go wide. Judas Preyseeker also not going to find the target as AV successfully hold. Tara has taken a fair bit of damage, but Sin really not with a lot to work with. 3,000 gold the lead here at 12 minutes. And how do you think about Sin's ability to scale in this game? Of course, they have a Kassadin. Ashe does pretty good late game damage as well.
I mean, the scaling's there. If we're comparing, I feel like AV have a slight edge in that respect. Of course, Cassiopeia and Jhin.
Yeah,
true. When you think about the attack damage that he gets and the crits that he'll be doing, does scale quite nicely.
Oh my goodness, they got two of the best champions for getting an Infernal Drake in Cassiopeia and Jhin.
Yeah, Jin's actually like the best. But Cassiopeia is scaling quite high as well, honestly, you're right.
Yeah, with 6 like flat items, no boots necessary. We get to 6 items on this Cassiopeia. will be working out quite nicely, but it's early days.
Early days was still a decent lead, though.
Damn right.
Once again, Sin playing around getting Rymeister rolling. One of the few champions that's super level reliant. Wants that 11 spike and 16 spike in particular. It's the modern day AP Kog'Maw.
Like it a lot. Does have his Rod of Ages, though, already completed. Is 13.5 minutes into the game. Ain't bad. In fact, gets a book with it.
Right now, Chelby's just a top laner. He's just having a great time up there. Chenny Boy's a jungler. He's just hanging out near red buff.
Yep.
Chelby's the AD carry hitting the turret. What a world we live in.
It's an interesting one. Of course, Chelby has always been a jungler. Chenny Boy was once a mid laner. So I don't know what he's doing in the jungle.
It's okay, so Chelby, you learn to love it.
Yeah.
He has a very endearing trait where he's occasionally a top laner. There has been situations where I have seen Chelby come top to gank. I've watched the top laner teleport away, and he says, all right, well, I'm a top laner now, and starts 1v1ing the opposition.
Yeah.
It happens more often than I expect, but it works out, especially with a bruiser like Gragas, who can be a top laner.
Well, you can see right now this wave is going to fall, but the turret taking some reasonable damage here from AV as they keep the siege up. Paradise as well doing the similar thing on the bottom side of the map, but now Triple struggling as the arrow flies forward. Really nice cleanse after the hook to make sure Triple's okay. That patience was fantastic out of the AV mid laner.
Yeah, I don't even think the hook connected, but Jin's ulted.
Yeah, and there's the flash body slam as well. Really nice flash out of Raps to get him to safety there. Shelby did find the explosive cast, but not exactly in the right spot.
Yeah, the goods and bads of the Gragas. When somebody has a flash against you, I believe Chelby was a little bit greedy with his cooldown timing there and should have just thrown the cast, not given a reactive time for a flash. But now they blow that. They get a lot of mana and health missing from the Ashe. Now they immediately look towards the objective.
Yeah, and AV going to make short work of this one as well, as the Infernal Drake is going to be taken down. We mentioned how useful it is for this comp as the game progresses. They've definitely identified that, as Paradise has himself some Swifty boots, as well as that Black Cleaver done up, so the Gnar going to be very frustrating, especially in 1v1. This turret, very, very low in the mid lane.
Yeah, they're holding on though, AV. They've already proven their capabilities when it comes to counter-fighting what Sin are presenting, counter-engaging in particular. Sin are the ones pushing it forward. And once again, they've grouped mid. They've looked towards this big objective being that mid lane turret, but most importantly, they want to find a pick around it.
Not going to be able to for the next little while, as Rogue is going to go back to base, restack up that Sightstone, make sure he can move his vision around the map. You can see a lot for Sin on the top side, as they did not contest that dragon whatsoever. The map very dark on the bottom.
Yeah, and I'm expecting Paradise actually to adjust his itemization. I'd expect a Spectre's Cow or something like that to be seen next. But depends on which build he would like to go for, whether it's offense or a hint of defense in there.
Well, there's the farm alarm. As Juice moves towards the top side of the map. Meister down here, just farming things out. Paradise was unable to get the Krugs, of course. So you can see Ghostblade done here for Chenny Boy. Triple also with the Morellonomicon completed. There are some items starting to be built up here by AV.
Yeah. I mean, it's already reflecting through their playstyle, though. AV know they're ahead, albeit by an okay amount.
Yep.
As they now get the Drake, they put the Gnar towards the bottom lane, even without teleport. He's been keeping Cassidy nearby, of course, much more. And then they look towards the Rift Herald as an avenue, but the response is always there.
Yeah, Arrow going to be flying over the top. Triple without the cleanses. There's the Curtain Call, but not going to find any targets here is Chenny Boy. We'll get a little bit of a refund on the cooldown as he cancels it after a couple of bullets.
Yeah, it's okay. He has 10% CDR and gets another 20%, I believe, from using only 2 of the ults. As they do finally make a move on this objective. It's not worth a 5v5 over unless they think they can win that fight. If they get picked off, could be trouble.
Yeah, cute little Deadly Flourish there as the Lantern is going to be taken here. Sin actually looking to take this fight as Paradise makes his way over. Not a lot of Narbar. And the teleport is cancelled there from Squiggle. So 5v4 in favor of AV. Captive Audience going to stop Juice from getting to this turret, but this tower is so low. Nice hook onto Jake, who gets immediately destroyed. Raps grabs himself that kill. The turret survives, but the support dies.
Once again, AV's support dies to another hook from Rogue, the man who barely misses.
Oh yeah.
Is what we're going to have to name change him to in a minute if he keeps this up. Doesn't matter what game, doesn't matter who he's against, every hook connects. And then they've got Squiggle, who did have to cancel his teleport, but if he's ever present, They will lock you down indefinitely. AV, they went too hard for a Rift Herald.
Yeah, Rift Herald, they didn't even have Paradise there to collect. Not entirely sure why they're giving it so much, I guess, emphasis. As you can see, Sin now running away from AV or collapsing from the bottom side. Shelby moving on over. We'll see whether they just go for Squiggle as the dredge line lands, but there's the Deadly Flourish. Not sure whether the Titan's Wrath is going to be enough there as the arrow is going to connect onto Triple, but Chenny Boy nails the last shot of the ultimate. Dredgeline not going to find the mark as Chelby can't finish off the kill. Teleport now coming in as Rymeister looks for the Rift Walk onto Chelby. He's relatively low, but almost has the flash back up. There's another nice ultimate out of Triple, who gets the cleanse off and flashes away. Juice now in trouble as well as Glacial Fissure over the top catches Rogue. The Ignite's ticking down, and Shelby will lock it up with a barrel. Always capable of picking up the kills is this jungler.
And what's funny is Triple saved his cleanse when the Ash Arrow connected. He could have killed the Nautilus, but instead he saves that cooldown. Sin looked for an engage, and then he uses the cleanse afterwards and gets himself the easy pickups. Like, AV are playing this so patiently, so calmly, and being very collected about their thoughts that it translates into the gold lead even further now.
This is some of the best cleanse use I've seen, full stop, from Triple at the moment. The fact that he does just understand exactly when the correct time to use it is honestly blowing my mind.
The reservation
Yeah.
to not kill the Nautilus and have it available for a later fight is what stands out. Of course, he hit a nice ultimate to lock down Rymeister. Turns him to stone. Na'Vi are just looking commanding.
They certainly are, as Paradise going to go Mega Gnar just in time to head back to the shop.
Here's the thing, though. Is every time Sin have died, they've been bottom.
Yep.
What are they trying to achieve by sending all of their resources down to where AV can counter gank, opposed to just looking to take the turret 1v1? It's an outer. They have teleports. Well, they had teleports. They should honestly just be putting Squiggle down there, or Rymeister down there if he's going to be the split push threat. And try and just play the map away from AV, get that free turret.
And it looks like that's what their thoughts are now, as Rymeister is going to get this wave towards the turret. However, going to head back to base as AV are spotted around the river. Dragon up in just under a minute. And the Baron has just spawned. You can see approximately 5,000 gold the lead here for AV. Comfortable this stage of the game. And Steric's Gauge just completed here from Paradise. Thought that that might have been going towards something like the Frozen Mallet, but just wants to have a little bit more teamfight capability.
But again, Paradise is top lane as they want to look for the Drake because it's up in 30 seconds. It's another Infernal.
Yeah.
They will absolutely try and fight for this. The awareness that AV are definitely presenting around the map to be there in advance
Look at these wards
is impressive.
on the bottom side. I mean, there is no way they're going to miss any member of Sin moving from their base to that Dragon Pit.
Lit up like a Christmas tree.
Ludicrous.
He's a rapper.
Yeah, Chenny Boy telling us that we'll learn something. Not entirely sure what that is, but we learned that you can see a lot of things on the red side jungle of Sin. Now Triple looking to poison that one to death. Does so quite effectively, as now
Drake's
AV just 5 members.
So Sin are
And be together
threatening
soon.
Baron. That's what AV is about to check it.
Whoa, and Jakey once again going to get picked off. Deadly Flourish comes in as Jakey survives for a little bit longer than we were expecting. However, not going to be enough as Triple is going to tank the arrow. Rymeister gets booted out there by Chelby. Nice defensive play from this Gragas, but he may pay for it as he has to flash. Miasma over the top there as well as AV disengage really nicely.
Yeah, they disengage and they hold the fort in that respect. The Drake still stands. The vision control that AV have is still on the bottom side of the map, and that's where they want to drag Sin towards. Sin, they play around the Baron being a 20-minute rush opportunity in response to that Infernal Drake being up. They get themselves a pick for it, and that was actually really good reactive play working around the map from Sin to set themselves up now for this objective. If AV look to fight this, they'll be around having Gnar, and he's not Mega.
Well, they're looking for it right now as the curtain call comes in. You can see Chenny Boy actually deciding to cancel it. Paradise, he's teleported in, and it is going to be Sin to lock down the Dragon, but are they going to fall for it as now Chelby is going to find Juice. Paradise finishes him off. That looks like to be the only picks that they'll get, and that's the Infernal locked up for Sin, so definitely a good denial here from the blue side.
Yeah, one for the Drake is definitely still a win, dependent on what AV do right now. Of course, with that Baron still being up, Sin have set up vision as best they could, but there's nothing directly on the pit. So they may have to do what AV just did to them and just outright face check it.
Could be very dangerous here as Shelby's just going to start this one up. They've got
They've
a lot of
teleported in,
Baron
Sin.
damage. Yeah, exactly right. Now AV with 5 members are in the pit. Shelby healing himself up with that barrel as Squiggle looking to try and start something up. This Baron is extraordinarily low as the arrow finds Paradise, but Mega Gnar is going to be coming very, very soon. There's the dredge line onto Jake. but they're sticking to the Baron. AV are able to lock that one down as Chelby picks it up, and Squiggle right in the pit
Paradise.
now. They have managed to pick up one there onto Jakey, but look at the damage into the backline as the Miasma's doing work, but look at Rymeister. Finds one. Chenny Boy trying to get away as he does pick up the Kassadin over the wall there as Juves is going to possibly fall down. Another curtain call comes in, and Rogue and Juves are in a heck of a lot of trouble. Triple kill comes in as Juves narrowly avoids the last bullet from Chenny.
What he doesn't know is that Chenny was looking for him with the W, but doesn't lock it down. So they go back to base, and that ends up being 4 for 4.
Yep.
But Chenny has the Baron buff. They locked it down. They also got the gold with it. So what is essentially an even trade is still a window of opportunity for Avant to work around their AD carry's buff. Now 3-0-6 and got a triple kill in the last fight. It was a messy fight from AV. We are going to see how this happens again, and note that Paradise is trying to do all of the work for his team, but he effectively threw them all into Sin to try and combo with triple. The ultimate doesn't connect because everybody used flash, and that left AV. 3 members stuck in the pit, most of their health missing because they tried to hit the Baron as a position for Sin to maybe take control of them. However, not to be this time around. It's just quietly. Chenny has Deathfire touch. I think Rogue would have died to it.
Aha, so possibly could have picked up the kill onto Juves instead, although the Lantern was coming down for the shield.
Which means he's, don't take risks.
That's true. That is very true. Now Juves going to cop a barrel. AV now setting up these Baroned up minions into the inner turret in the mid lane. No teleport available here as, the arrow is going to get the flash, but Chenny Boy doesn't have the cleanse as there's the ultimate once again from Triple. Miasma goes down to stop this Kassadin from doing any work, but Chelby's going to fall. Chenny Boy as well. As there's Rymeister grabbing it with the Q, and Sin, they lose a lot of their health bars, but grab 2 members of AV.
Well, they also lose the Baron buff.
Yeah.
So AV now have the most important member of that team locked down, and well done from Sin to find him. The Ash Arrow, juked by Triple, finds the AD carry. That's not a best case scenario. Not at all.
Certainly isn't. Paradise continuing to shove waves out here towards the top side of the map. Rymeister, of course, down on the bottom, wants to grab that outer turret once and for all.
And we're seeing the exact thing that we expected from Sin. The difference in strength between these top laners is definitely notable. And because Sin's strategy revolves around having Squiggle grouped, Paradise is starting to get a little bit out of control. On the flip side, you're looking at Rymeister saying that he's the recipient of most of that side lane strength. He's getting the levels, he's getting the farm.
Getting the kills too.
Exactly right, and he's getting towards a point now where he's actually quite deadly. I'm curious to see how this 1v1 pans out. Except right now, Paradise is at a point of advantage because they're finding the 1v1 in that way.
Yeah, you can see Juves now as well moving over. Just makes his presence known and then skips out. See Triple now just defending this mid lane. He'll have a lot of items built up for himself. You can see 4, 1, and 5 looking very strong on this Cassiopeia. 90% kill participation as well. Very, very good. Archangel's just transforming into a Seraphs now. This Triple will have that extra shield.
And there's 2 ways for this to be played out by AV. They should either get a Mikhails onto Jake or a QSS onto Chenny so that both carries have a cleanse. And they've definitely chosen which one they would prefer. As Jakey's gone for the tanky route. Of course, there isn't a whole lot of magic damage available on Sin's side. Only the incidental damage out of a Shen and Nautilus. So curious that they've decided this build path. It means that Jakey just wants to be a tank above all else.
I actually quite like having the Locket of the Iron Solari for the shield in the AoE against
again, like the shield's nice, but it's also the AoE magic resistance. Like there's other things that it could be more beneficial having a Mikhail for simply because the Ash Arrow is the primary source of Sin's engage.
Well, now thankfully that QSS is built there for Chenny, so at least he'll be safe. Squiggle happily defending his turret, which is still very, very healthy against Paradise's onslaught.
And Paradise will most likely get himself a Banshee's Veil. So once again, they've got avenues now to work with sooner or later. I think it just comes down to, do AV want to wait for that spike, or Paradise just going to let them?
Well, he's also possibly able to get a Gnar off here as Mini-Gnar comes back in, denying that one, but he gets out with a nice bounce. And there's another amount of damage onto Raps, and that's a considerable amount, as he is going to fall down almost instantly. The inner turret's going to follow.
That was so much overkill from AV. Triple even used his Seraph's Embrace active for no particular reason.
Thought it was a Deathfire Grasp.
Maybe.
How threatening though. Yeah, exactly right. And AV actually going to use the teleport here to make sure this minion wave doesn't die. The inhibitor is going to fall down very quickly with Raps dead. Sin do not want to go for this one, and the inhibitor is going to fall. You can see Rymeister answers with an outer turret on the bottom side of the map, but inhibitor turret, inner turret, and inhibitor. In trade for that one outer is probably still worth here for AV.
Yeah, and maybe even another inner turret to be seen on the top side of the map. They want to force Rymeister's teleport, but he's still not using it. And it looks like Sin defending this could be impossible.
Well, they're not going to be able to defend this turret. So they lose that inner as well. However, Rymeister still pushing this one down, gets it, and AV are going to finally answer the Kassadin after basically tearing apart the Sin base.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best answer that Sin could have hoped for, to be perfectly honest. Maybe an extra bit of pushing from Rymeister, but with one person dead and it being Raps, they just didn't really have the damage at all. Even with Rymeister being there, the committal damage that he'd have to put down is in melee range. It's against the Gnar Gragas. I mean, for what it's worth, there was also the Gragas ulti used. The Jhin ulti was on cooldown until now.
Yeah.
There was no Seraph's Embrace or Cleanse from Triple. They should know that he had no flash. I think Sin might have been able to defend that. Can't say for certain, however.
Oh, this Dragon is going to be started up now as Paradise gets hit by the arrow. The Dragon now going to be ignored as Juves gets stunned up. Chelby very, very low here as Squiggle finds his way in. Rymeister off to the side. Watch for the Kassadin to see what he can do to the back line as he's waiting for that opportunity to rip walk his way forward. The Dragon is going to get taken there by Sin as Paradise gets a decent gnaw, but he's going to pay for it with his life. As now Sin back away, they grab their one pick, grab the Dragon. Things looking a lot better for this team despite the gold lead in favor of AV.
Yeah, this is what happens when all 5 people of Sin are here looking for the team fight and simultaneously work together. They catch out Paradise, who was not able to get towards his Mega Gnar form and just dies before anything can be blown by him. They've got Guardian Angels to be seen on their top laner, and it doesn't matter if he's behind, because now he's effectively as tanky as Paradise, if not more so.
He's got 6 stacks on his Dark Seal. He's looking good.
Yeah, he's like maybe 20 AP there. It's a good number.
Yeah, damn right
I mean,
it is.
it's on the way to 10. He's above halfway.
Yeah.
Can't complain. But he's also honestly tankier than Paradise is until Mega Gnar's available as well. Risky champion, honestly.
Yeah.
It always is.
Haven't seen it be all that effective so far in the OPL as well. Paradise looking to change that. Winter's Bite not going to find Rogue. Arrow flying through the mid lane as it does get Triple's flash. Didn't have the cleanse, so good flash.
But that would have
not
been
going to be
just a
maneuverable.
cooldown as well. And Flash being burned means that Triple getting into these fights is difficult now. He wants to have that summoner spell up. AV feels like they're going to have to work around their AD carry and Chenny. Get some lockdown. Paradise not having teleport as well means that 1-3-1 or any kind of split pushing looks okay for Sin, except that they don't have one themselves. So this is where this really awkward turnaround of events now comes out. Whoever gets caught out of position first through the vision game, because everybody's now 5, will be the team that wins this. AV have just kicked this off.
Now Hawkshot did spot them out. So they're now going to back away. Haven't taken too much damage from it. And of course, Guardian Angel is there on Chelby. Now Juves going to burrow his way over. Start off this blue buff. Potentially Rymeister, but he's on the other side of the map, stealing AVs.
2 blue buffs at once. There you go. Rymeister doesn't have teleport though, and he's on the opposite side of the map, so he needs to cover a lot of distance quickly as AV is setting themselves up to be engaged on by Sin's composition if they stay near this pit. They're flirting with death.
He's going to cop the arrow as there's the death charge. Squiggle makes his way in completely as Chenny Boy just deleted from the fight. Juves right in amongst it as Jake trying to stand behind his teammates, but he's not going to be able to. Triple throws down the ultimate, but it's just not enough. Seraph Shield comes in, but Squiggle, he's got a GA. They're just piling forward, and Paradise never found his in.
Nope, Rymeister's now coming in, looks for the kills.
Wow, there's the flash forward as Rymeister gets on top of Chelby. They prop the Guardian Angel, and there is no escaping this as Rymeister gets himself another kill. And this gold lead looks to actually be feeding Sin somehow, as it's still there for AV.
Yeah, this is honestly just decision-making errors from AV's side. They're not setting up, they're just executing. The saying the good teams never bait is usually because they are ready to do it. They don't just stand around and sit on their hands. AV are conceding a lot of control on Summoner's Rift to this Sin team. And that gold lead's basically 0 now.
Yeah.
Once again, the attention will lie towards Baron on the assumption that Sin can recall before it actually begins. They don't actually want to, it seems. They should.
They also should try and clear out some of this vision as well, as now Sin are going to see Paradise, who throws through his boomerang. Everyone going to stop their backs. And AV may actually have a shot at this Baron right now.
Sin just go back, like they need to go back to base. Of course, Rymeister is there. He's level 16, so he's strong. And his teleport's not too far away. Side lane control comes first when we look at the bottom lane from Sin after defending their inhibitor. Paradise has teleport also, and ideally he'd actually be on the bottom side of the map pressuring that. And because he needs to group, needs to be a part of these 5v5 and secure vision.
As the curtain call one more time, Juice actually taking a fair bit of damage for a very, very tanky Rek'Sai, and Squiggle caught out of position. Nice dredge line, gets himself a little bit further to safety and does have the GA, but AV right on top of him. There's the Miasma. And that powerful item is going to go down. Takes the Lantern immediately. Sin do keep their top laner alive, but that Guardian Angel is a big deal.
It's on a member of Sin who does have a teleport though, so he'll be able to get into this fight still. AV do it quickly, but the last time we saw them do this, Chenny got caught out of position immediately through Sin's engage. They are still flirting with danger. They need to show some respect, AV. They want the fight instead of the Baron, it seems. And they're using their health bars as a resource to kick it off. Look at top lane. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah, that is a massive wave. As now you can see Sin just say, well, we'll grab ourselves an inner turret. They make short work of it as well with Raps and Rymeister.
This is rough. They're actually playing AV around the bottom lane minion wave. They want the minions to organically take down the turret. So by keeping Sin around, they prevent it from being addressed by Sin, but they're actually losing through the other two lanes of the three on the map at once. This is such an unusual, awkward movement around the map.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that Rymeister still has his teleport, so the fact that Squiggle used his to get into that last fight, not too much of a big deal, because Paradise will have to use his if AV start anything else, and this Hawkshot has been invaluable on the side of Sin.
Yeah, it's picking them out at the right moments. AV can't actually bait it. If they choose to do the Baron, they 100% have to do the Baron. Otherwise, Sin can just Hawkshot and hang around.
Yeah.
Do what they did before, and that's look at the mid lane instead. Play around their advantages, and they're starting to find more and more of them. AV have let Sin into this game, and now we're basically late game with a Kassadin.
Yeah, late game with the Kassadin, and the gold is entirely even. There is no difference in this one at all. It's going to come down to execution, and that's been exactly where Sin have been excelling in this series.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of Sin executing well and AV actually executing quite poorly. The decision-making as this team has definitely been lacking.
Curtain call, not going to be able to find Raps or Rogue. Rogue has been playing phenomenally well. Often does, which is why we don't mention it a whole lot, just because otherwise we'd be talking about Rogue being awesome the entire game. And it'd get old.
I mean, yeah, he's everything. That guy's been playing well. This is now a potential trade between these teams as Elder Dragon and Baron are being simultaneously looked at.
They have no vision here from Sin as this Baron is taken down very low. They still have wards in the pit, and AV have decided to give this one over. Baron is going to fall. Elder Drake is now going to go into AV's back pocket, but they won't have empowered recalls. Thankfully, their waves not pushing into their base just yet.
I mean, it's not a bad decision to do the Elder Dragon, but they have 90 seconds to work with roughly, whereas Sin have a 3.5-minute window now.
Yeah.
They can control the side waves. It's not that this Elder Dragon's going to be a nail in a coffin scenario by any means. In fact, Sin, I would say, have an advantage if they can avoid the 5v5 for the next 90 seconds. Just play the minion waves, play the map, and actually do what Sin do anyway.
God, Rymeister does so much damage. This Kassadin is gigantic.
Yeah.
Just needs that Zhonya's Hourglass for his 6th item. Triple, building towards that Death Cap, which will be a big power spike for the Cassiopeia. Especially with the Elder Drake buff.
Once again, AV are now pushing mid lane though, Atlas. The rest of Sin's response should be clear as 4. They don't even have the Baron buff minions to deal with. In fact, they're going to complement them. As right now, Rymeister's actually teleporting top lane.
Okay. Possibly an interesting choice, but just wants to threaten that open inhibitor. AV, understand now that they really do have to make a move for this one, and they are going to take it down pretty quickly. Sin have decided that they're going to trade open inhib for another open inhib.
Yeah, that's still actually quite good for Sin though as an end result. Having the trade. Unfortunately, Rymeister doesn't have teleport, but he forces one from somebody else, and it doesn't look like he's slowing down.
Yeah, look at this turret. My God, Rymeister actually taking a fair bit of damage here from Paradise, who turns back into Mininar, and look at Rymeister go, picks it up with a W reset, and now looking to take down a Nexus turret.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be able to because Jin's... Oh, actually, Sinner stopping recalls. This is really delicate, actually. He does a lot of damage to those turrets.
Yeah, Nexus turrets are going to fall down here. Nice Miasma comes out there from Triple to try and keep this one alive. You can see a couple more minions still there. And Shenny Boy looking to try and close in, but there the Nexus turrets are dead. Rymeister
way,
looking for the full back door as the Winter's Bite doesn't connect. He gets it down to half health, but the turret, the minions are going to be enough as Triple comes in with a huge ultimate. Raps now in trouble. Massive triple knock up there from the Glacial Fissure, and Triple takes down Raps immediately. Throws down the Cleanse, now looking to kite this one out as Squiggle's in trouble. Double kill for the Cassiopeia as Juice says, well, I'm going to try and kill you Nexus. Oh, wait, no, I'm not. I'm looking to escape through the top side of the map. And Rogue is going to fall down as well in amongst it all. Really nice play out of AV to try and defend, but my God, that was close.
They barely hold, but they do still hold. I think the best case scenario there would have been actually Squiggle joining the fray, perhaps to look for an end with a teleport himself. Doesn't find the opportunity. AV, they get the kills onto the key members of Sin. The Ignite from Jakey was enough to actually lock down the Kassadin.
My God.
Trying to do his very own XPK attempt. Not to be seen, Mr. Rymeister.
Do definitely appreciate it, though, as he was very close. The fact that he managed to get that 1v1 against Paradise, also a big deal. Now not going to be able, as the GA has been completed by the Gnar.
We're waiting on the Zonias once again from Rymeister until he's at his maximum power. Paradise, as you said, pretty much unkillable now in the 1v1, but he will have 2 lives, so maybe you can kill him once, just not twice.
Yeah, very true.
Because again, the map's now completely open. The difference between them is Sin. They made a conscious decision to put Rymeister top lane with his teleport, look towards getting maybe the Nexus past the inhibitor, but at least that inhibitor stop AV from recalling, who had to make the decision themselves as a team that unless they win the 4v5 straight away, they can't end the game. Kassadin can.
Yeah.
So it was a difficult situation for them to deal with, but they deal with it the best that they possibly could. Unfortunately for the 1v1, Paradise goes down.
Well, now Triple. He's got his Rabbidan's death cap, but Rymeister's got 6 items. The Zonia's, like you were talking about before, has been completed. Squiggle has an Iceborne Gauntlet to his name, looking for a few more recipes to be completed. A few components now sitting in his back pocket, but the Nautilus getting extraordinarily tanky despite the fact that he's down 80 CS.
Sin are being very cute right now. And they're playing around an area where they know Avant have no vision, but this is a gamble. There's no real reason for Avant to walk here. So unless they want to outright teamfight, look for a flank, they're just hoping that AV are going to wander aimlessly into the jungle to take something that isn't there anyway, which consists of the jungle camps and the Elder Dragon that isn't actually even up.
Yeah, well, Rymeister going to throw down some Rift Walks, gets his way out of there. Big minion wave towards the bottom side that he's now looking to clean up. Actually, decides to back away.
It's full build. If someone else can go get it, maybe get some items, there might be more value there. Namely Squiggle, who has nothing.
Raps also looking for an Infinity Edge. Might be a good option here for the Ashe.
And once again, because there's nothing available on the map, there's no Baron threat, there's no Elder Dragon threat, they can put the Ashe down here, just having catch up and clean all that gold out.
Yep.
Now doing really well, even if we compare AD carries. Chenny was big for a while, but the farm difference between these two is starting to stretch. Look at the mid lane, the farm difference is definitely stretching. This seems to be a thing across the board except for top laners, which makes a lot of sense for Sin because how they win the game is through a facilitative top lane.
Yeah, it doesn't matter that Squiggle doesn't have all that much gold. All of his buttons do a whole lot of work for his team to get all the kills with their damage that they have.
Yeah, and he's been hitting his buttons. He managed to thread a needle in one fight they had of the Baron, locked down that Jhin.
Speaking of Jhin, does now have that Duskblade of Drakthar. A lot of armor penetration flat here for the AD carry.
Feels like he's just so outscaled at the moment.
Yeah, that Infinity Edge just came in for Raps, and he's going to do a heck of a lot of damage now.
I actually just don't think there's any way besides Triple popping off something fierce that AV win a fight. Their engage is still possible. Paradise can still do work. But really, this is a tough ask for AV.
Certainly is. Rymeister going to take a barrel of the face, though, and Triple dodges an arrow. However, Sin now looking to move towards this Baron pit. 35 seconds. That one's going to be available. Paradise on the bottom side of the map with that teleport available. Sin with double and an open Nexus to work with. Inhibitor now going to come back up, so at least that one needs to be removed first.
Yeah, they've traded, so the inhibitors that were time taken down at the same time are up at the same time.
Time.
Lots of time. That's exactly what both of these teams have now.
Damn right. And it looks like both of them don't necessarily know where their way in is. It looks like we're waiting for Baron buffs to come up, and then both of these teams want to fight around that.
Well, I think first things first, Raps wanted his Infinity Edge.
Yep.
And so they hit that point of power. They get completed items for the Cass. They have big items almost done for Paradise. And they need that Jhin to finish something, otherwise he's the member of the team that really is just beyond repair in comparison to that of Sin. Their response now was honestly wait for summoner spells. Not only the Infinity Edge, we need the teleport on Rymeister, something that's high impact. And now they put him to the bottom side of the map. AV looking to straight do this or force the teleport. This is risky.
My God, it's taking a lot of damage as Juice walks over the captive audience. They do have vision to the pit now as well as Arrow flies forward, hits Jakey, but it's not exactly the priority target as Chelby gets himself a shield. Squiggle almost looks unkillable here in this fight as the Glacial Fissure goes wide. No knockups onto anyone. It's now Chenny Boy right in the back line. Rymeister looking to take him down, but he is going to get taken by Triple. And there's the re-engage from AV. Now looking for more as the Deadly Flourish doesn't find Raps, thank goodness, and Juice gets a decent knock-up. AV still going forward with low health bars, and the body slam lands. Jakey looking to follow up, gets the Winter's Bite, and the concussive blows is going to be able to take down Juice. Fantastic team fight for AV as Paradise just takes care of, himself.
Yeah, unfortunately tarnishes the record of AV in that fight just there. Does go down, but that's also 2 people from Sin dead. Rymeister, namely, is the big member to go down. The focus from AV was directly on top of him. They waited for him to go in, and they pulled the trigger on that. Now AV, once again, it's a Cassiopeia. The damage they do to the Baron is pretty ridiculous.
Paramount,
no response,
some would say.
Yeah, there it is.
And on 4 members now as well, so not just Chenny Boy. And we'll see what AV can actually get done with this Baron now as they move down the map. It was 1 apiece before, now EV. Couple of Barons in comparison to Sin's 1. And the gold lead, of course, probably just don't need to talk about it anymore as everyone has so many items.
Yeah, one other big point is that Rymeister just does not have his teleport, so he's not going to be able to split push. Squiggle not being involved. If they are the one they delegate towards it, it'll be slow to clear waves firstly.
Yep.
And it means one of their engage tools is a little bit missing. And so opportunities for AV now to work as a 5-man unit or a 4-man unit and have Paradise teleport in and control the map.
I actually liked what Paradise did there. I mean, I know he died, but he made sure that Rogue and Raps weren't anywhere near that fight. They were able to take down Juves, get themselves the jungler, meaning that AV could then easily take down the Baron.
Yeah, no lantern for Juves.
Yeah. Kept them busy. This is a big minion wave pushing towards the top side. Rymeister once again with the split push. There's an open inhib that he could play with.
He has no teleport, so he has to either massive flank through vision or go back to base. They're actually conceding a lot here for no reason because of Rymeister's position.
Well, he's now looking for the flanking play, like you said. Sin lose a whole bunch of health on their turret, but not too much more as Paradise is walking over. Teleport is available as AV all walk over to Rymeister. Riftwalk is there. Lantern to be taken as Miasma over the top. Rymeister does manage to get the Riftwalk on as Chelby's taking a lot of damage. Big body slam comes in, but there's the shutdown onto Triple. Paradise teleports into death as the double kill comes out. Massive damage from Rymeister, gets the last Riftwalk. And there's the shield coming through as well. Rogue keeps his mid laner alive, and that is a huge team fight win for Sin. And now they're looking to try and take down that open Nexus.
Yeah, they have a lot of time to actually work around this, and conveniently a minion wave presents itself in the middle lane. That was a big flank from Rymeister. That was a hero play, honestly, and sets Sin up on this pedestal now where only 1 member of AV stands. They should potentially end with the minion wave, but instead they choose the free top lane inhibitor. And because it's an open Nexus, no turret threat, they just win the game.
Yeah, and Squiggle just going to launch himself there with the flash. And look at the Nexus fall. That was quick. And Sin win with a 100 gold lead at the end of that game. So incredibly close, but Sin come out on top.
And you have to say, let back into the game by Avant, who had a decent gold lead towards the middle stages of that game. One poor decision around the Baron buff, and everything unfolds and gives Sin the opportunity.
Yeah, exactly right. But we are going to throw it back to the analyst desk to break down that first Sin win.
Thank you very much, Atlas and Rusty. And you know, Sin pick up game 1 against Avant from a game where Avant looked totally in control. But guys, first I really want to touch on Sin's team comp because we were talking about it backstage there about how, you know, we didn't really like the Cassidy pick, but the rest of Sin's team comp looked amazing for the players that they were playing today.
Yeah, everything fit. Rogue on his best champion, Squiggle on, I don't know if I should say his best champion, but they've been playing it a lot, so they get a comfortable champion. Yeah. And they have this team comp that could 1-3-1 by the end of the game. That's a great way for them to win. Yep. Or they can pick early game. And then they picked Cassidy, and I didn't see how it fit. Granted, it won them the game at the end.
Yeah.
Reimeister put the team on his back, went deep, and just carried everything.
Yeah.
But I still don't like it.
Yeah, it's that snowballing element of that team, but of course you see the problem of it. It can't really escape once Cassiopeia lays down the miasma.
And they have no wave clear as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And Atlas hit it best at the end of that game. There was a 100-goal lead for Sim when they closed out that game. We have 2 replays to show you guys in just a second of the 2 Baron fights that Avant were trying to take when they were up ahead. So let's get the first one up on your screen, guys, because this was really where things started to fall apart for Avant.
Yeah, so Avant actually gifts themselves this this positioning by just pure vision control. But here they're not setting up properly. They either burn the Baron or and completely leave, try to escape, get the people off out of that fight completely, or they take the fight. You chase them down. You have the ability to team fight properly, and you have the ability to just take the Baron and lead. But they literally do both at the same time. And so they lose the entire fight. But hey, Cheney boy presses ulti, gets Rogue. Probably doesn't have to throw in the last ulti because he has Deathfire touch. But hey, there we go. It worked out very well. They were able to turn it just a little bit.
Yeah, they did their best Dignitas impression. I'm sure that made you proud.
Yeah.
But it just felt like they didn't have a good shot call going into it. They didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
And that just further proves this. We head into the second replay that'll be up on your screen shortly. Another Baron attempt coming in from Avant, and this just was a disaster.
And we just need to look at Gnar right now. Gnar has full ulti, but is chasing down the Cassidy. You're not going to touch him. You need to be in position to pick this fight. They actually got gifted this positioning based off the bot lane lead. They got a great bot lane fight. They walk up to Baron, but you need to understand that this is the fight you want to take. But if Gnar, your main engage, is not in position, then you're going to lose that out.
Yeah, and at the time, I hated Jin's items. He got evaporated that fight. He had more Malmoldius, and he still had QSS as well. He still just got blown up.
Yeah.
You got to, at some point, just think, if I die, I die. I might as well get as much damage out as possible before I die. And it seemed like he did no damage, and then he died anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of sad because Avant, as I mentioned before, the entire map was lit up. Top side, bot side, they were placing their pinks, they were placing their wards. They were literally never going to get caught out because they would see them miles away. And then so that was why they actually were gifted these Baron positionings. And this is, I kind of feel a little strong about this because this is something that I've had to fight with for quite a bit. But when you get the Baron fights, those aren't bad. And I don't want players thinking, we lost because of Baron, let's not touch it again. When you get your positioning, force it. Force the fight. It just comes down to shot calling at that point.
And you know the final Baron play that came up from Avant went in their favor. They picked the Baron buff up, but that final team fight just went hugely in Sin's favor. And like you said, T-Gun, it was really off the back of Reimeister, who was obliterating people with that Kassadin.
Yeah, he just goes in. He just says, you know what? It's time to die. Gets in there. 2 big ultis on 3 or 4 people. A big E. Basically chunks all of them. And then you have your whole team come in, clean up, and you win the game. All credit to Sin, by the way. It seems like we've been talking a bunch about Avant and how they threw the game.
Yeah.
No, Sin earned this victory. They were down, I can't remember what it was exactly, but they were down a substantial amount of gold, and they just sat back, worked their way back into the game, and earned this victory.
Yep. It was incredible, right? The fact that, remember, he almost went for that Xpeke around that hit, like that, the Nexus. It was. I was like, you have 0 HP, but he opened it up for his team, and of course it was a team play. Just get him that space.
Just like that, Sim were able to pick up game number 1 against Avant, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more OPL action in 3.5.